Okay, so today we have Kyle Newman with us, and I'm going to start out by just asking Kyle to share a little bit about what he did in high school. I'm getting so old now, I don't remember what year you graduated, Kyle, but I always remember that you were a good student. Um, and were you could balance being serious and having fun, but you were always very goal oriented. And I feel like in your friend group, you were definitely one of the ones that had a plan, and not that others didn't, but I
Yeah,
mean, you were future minded, you were looking ahead even when you were in high school.
sure.
So I'm so glad that you're here with us today.
Yeah, no, so yeah, I graduated 2010, so it
Okay.
feels like a long time ago. I know some of the people from our class were trying to organize a reunion or something this year, but with all this craziness, I don't know
Uh,
what's gonna happen with that. But yeah, no, that's what I remember. I have a terrible memory, but I just remember, being in your classes and working in rep row with my friends. That was like one of the most fun periods of the day.
we don't have repro anymore,
Oh, that's a shame.
thankfully for me. Yes.
But yeah, no, that's I tried to be a good student and balance the fun, like you said, and I think that's important in all aspects of life. And I had a plan, and I'm sure like we'll get into later, like plans don't always go according to, and so I think one of the biggest advice I could give is to just always have a plan B and be thinking about multiple options because you never know how life's going to go. Who thought we'd be in quarantine right now? So
Exactly. That's so true. Now, I know you loved sports when you were in high school. Is that something you're still passionate about?
yeah, definitely. So I went to Aurora University, which is a small school outside Chicago. I played soccer there for 4 years, and then yeah, I mean, I still play twice a week, and I plan my weekends around watching soccer and sports and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm still pretty crazy about sports.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Well, so you kind of did our segue. So from here, you went to Aurora, and if you wouldn't mind to just kind of talk about your career path and kind of from Marion High School to where you are today, how that happened.
Yeah. So let's see. I had originally signed to go to Ren Lake to play soccer. And then, with the state's finances, my parents weren't sure if the soccer program and things like that would be funded for a while, which ended up being true. So I actually changed my mind, went up to Aurora, 4-year university. I studied health science, which basically is it's like a pre-track for any kind of medical health field degree that you're going to need a postgraduate level degree. And I was there for 4 years, got that, and then this is where the whole Plan B thing was. So I was planning on doing physical therapy school, and so as with a lot of those medical field programs, they're really competitive. I spent like $1,300 applying. I had a few interviews and then got waitlisted and didn't get into any of them. So that threw my whole, planning ahead thing for a loop. And so I just pivoted real quick. I looked at SIU Carbondale. They had a biomechanical engineering degree.
Oh, that's like blows
So
my mind.
yeah, no, I mean it was a bit of a bit of a turn, but I knew that the degree and the field itself was promising, and that there would be no shortage of jobs. Um, so I didn't really know what to expect when I went in. It was a lot of math and stuff for an engineering degree, but it wasn't too bad. And the most important thing was I found a really good thesis advisor. So I have an advisor over there. So he runs a mechanobiology lab. So basically, he studies the mechanical forces on living cells and the body and things like that.
Wow.
And so from there, that's when I started to study stem cells. And so during that time, I got my thesis. I had a thesis defense. I got my master's. And then that was about 2.5 years at SIU. And then after that, I graduated in December and had about 2 to 3 months of stressful job hunting. And then I ended up here in Memphis at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital.
That's really cool. So, um, So what even kind of drew you to that master's program? I mean, did you read something online, or was it just based on you knew, like you said, that there would be jobs in that area? How did that kind of come up?
Yeah, so I was kind of caught between two minds. So I wasn't ready to like fully give up on going to physical therapy school. So I thought, a master's degree in somewhat of a connected field, would just strengthen my application. I had read, other students had gone and got a master's in like kinesiology or things like that. So I was kind of weighing all these different degrees that I could do to still do physical therapy. But at the same time, I was kind of open to looking into other careers because I don't know, physical therapy was like set in my mind. My aunt's an occupational therapist, so kind of where the bug came from. But then I went in with an open mind, and like I said, I found this great advisor, and he kind of just, I kind of fell in love with the lab. I mean, that's my whole job is I work in a research lab, and the whole process of it, and the work and the grind, and you know, as soon as I met him and my advisor, I kind of just switched into like science as a career. And, I was still young. And I mean, I didn't know that there were so many jobs in science and research. And yeah, he just opened like a whole nother door for me in terms of career opportunities. And then stem cells specifically, like it's a young field. Like stem cells were only really kind of as a research, we're only started in like 2007-ish.
Yeah.
And so it's been exploding ever since. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, there's going to be endless job opportunities and career advancements. And I just kind of went from there.
So what is your current job title at St. Jude's? And kind of what do you do in a normal day?
Yeah, so I've been there 3 years this April. So my title is Senior Research Technologist, and my specific job's a little unique just because traditional science lab, you kind of have they call like a PI, so like the investigator, the main person that runs the lab, and then you probably usually have like 5 to 15 people working under that person. I work in a core lab. So basically, it's just me and my boss. So it's 2 people. So that alone is pretty unique. But we basically do services for all the other more traditional labs. So we create stem cells, we differentiate them. So I'm in the developmental neurobiology department. So it's all about studying the brain and neurons. So what we do is we take stem cells and differentiate them into neurons, or sometimes mini brains is what they're called, like brain organoids, is not to get too deep, but yeah. So, and then once we get them to a specific stage, we kind of pass them on to other labs, and then they do a further analysis and things like that. So yeah, that's kind of like the whole research model in a nutshell.
So, so a typical day for you is you work with the other person in your lab, and do you have to spend a lot of time then communicating with the labs that then you're sending these things to?
Yep. So yeah, it's just us two. So we're in constant communication. And so yeah, a typical day, I just come in. We meet like first thing in the morning in the lab, and we both kind of have our own projects going on. And she being the manager, she kind of does more of the coordination with the other labs. So we grow these cells to for maybe 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, whatever. And then based on a predetermined set point, someone from the coordinating labs will come harvest those cells at the 3 month mark, and then maybe you want to study them again at the 6 month mark. So she kind of sets those goals, and then I keep them healthy, I keep them growing, I keep them furthering along, as you will. And then so yeah, most of my day is spent in the lab, feeding these cells and keeping them alive. And then we do some of our own analysis as well. So like I said, like a typical lab, you would do everything from growing them, analysis, writing the paper, writing the grants, things like that. But it's kind of nice because we only do one part. So it's kind of a trade-off. Like it's nice that I don't have to write grants or do anything like that, but I'm also not doing a full lab's work. So there's a little bit trade-off, but yeah. And then a lot of it is kind of keeping current with the field. So we're reading current papers, current protocols. And then we do have a big research component within our lab as far as improving our protocols, optimizing, looking at new equipment and things in the field. So that's kind of the other side of it.
So the end result, when the labs that harvest, they're doing research to advance different causes, obviously, for
Yep.
in the medical field.
Yeah, and so St. Jude, I mean, the whole mission statement is to just, improve pediatric cancer outcomes across the world. And so, the way the department works and the way the whole research side of St. Jude works is, most labs have a specific disease or cancer that they're specifically studying. So the nice thing about us is we kind of have our hands in all the different labs. So I get to kind of learn about and help further the research and progress towards curing these diseases in all these different ones. So just, for example, like our main labs that we contribute to the most, we're actually studying like autism and schizophrenia. We're studying retinoblastoma, which is one of the leading pediatric eye cancers.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's like the whole mission statement of St. Jude is just to kind of further, the research within pediatric cancer.
Well, that's admirable. Very admirable. So, as far as progressing in your field and kind of, I feel like you touched on it when you talked about being willing to pivot, with your career plans. What do you think are the skill sets that help someone in your profession stand out or advance? Like, what are important things for people to know?
Yeah, I mean, science as a whole, it's people that are, that stick to I guess you'd call it the traditional like scientific, rigor, and, as far as, making a hypothesis, testing it, repeating it, and, validating your results. So I think you kind of need to be detail oriented. You need to stick to the plan. There's no room for like agendas or things like that. The cells tell you what the right answer is or not, and whether you thought it was this way or that way. There's no arguing the results usually. But yeah, I mean, science. There's a whole spectrum of people that work in science, and I wouldn't say there's anything that specifically you need to be, but it's just like any job, just hardworking people, and a lot of science is competitive. There's multiple labs across the world that are trying to come to the same results, and a lot of times people are hesitant to share things with each other. But the good thing about St. Jude is that it's super collaborative. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's any one thing that stands out, but just hard work and detail-oriented people, and yeah.
Yeah, very good. So if you were to go back, if someone could talk to Kyle while he was a junior or senior in high school, what do you think are the important things for students that age to know or to think about as they're preparing to kind of launch on from here?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I think that just having an open mind, like I said, I kind of, picked a career path at an early age, and then, I was all of a sudden at a point where it's like, it's not working out. What do I do? So I kind of kept that thought process of like keeping open-minded and being flexible through undergrad and everything. I had a few minors. I minored in Spanish and other things. So I tried to kind of diversify my education profile so that, if things didn't work out exactly, I had a plan B or plan C just kind of, marinating in the back of my mind. So I think that, if I could tell me as a younger self, like, don't get too caught up on one job or like one, a lot of kids I remember we were all looking at the money, like what paid the most and what career could I do that would pay me all this money, and just try to be flexible. You know what I mean? Like think of multiple careers, and think of multiple things you'd like to do. And now that I'm older, I just find something that you enjoy. I think is more important than the money. Not saying that there's not good money in science, but now more than ever, it's just the simple things that you enjoy more than back then. I was just looking at the salary amount.
Mm. I think it's neat that you say that, and just kind of talk about keeping options open, because I mean, think about it. They always ask you when you're going into kindergarten, what do you want to do? Well, stem cell research wasn't even a thing when you were in kindergarten, and with just technology changing the way it does, there are going to be jobs on the horizon that we don't even know exist right now. So I think it is important to be flexible and know who you are and know what you love, and then those things kind of work out.
Yeah, and like just for like a job security outlook and job growth and personal growth within a career, that's one of the things that kind of attracted to me to like a young field like stem cell research. I knew that there weren't many people or many labs in the world doing it, which to me meant that there were a breadth of career opportunities. I shouldn't have any problem finding a job. I shouldn't have, if I work hard and I, study and, keep current, there should be no reason I can't advance, within a reason as far as I want, as much as I want to. So, when when kids don't know what career they're going to look into, I mean, that's as good a reason as any to me, is just looking at job security and, the future of a field. A lot of things are changing nowadays with automation and technology, and just looking at things that are going to be there for a while. As far as job security and job growth was important to me when I chose this.
Yeah, and I know that parents want students to be thinking about career paths that lead to a job.
Yeah.
So that's something that I always tell my kids, like, okay, what career, what job will you get once you're finished studying? That's kind of the goal. So, there's your puppy.
Yes, this is my puppy. We've got 2 fur babies now, and she just got spayed on Friday, so she's being a little needy.
She's so cute.
Yeah.
Well, I truly appreciate you taking time to share with my students, and honestly, I think parents and community members are going to love hearing where everyone is now, and kind of what they're doing. So I really appreciate you taking time to spend a little time with my students, and this will be good information for them.
Yeah, no, for sure. And anytime in the future, I mean, science as a whole is like kind of an underappreciated and there's not much spotlight, I guess I would say, around science. I mean, maybe there is now because of the whole coronavirus and things like that, so people are starting to read more about science research. But like I said, in high school, I definitely didn't think anything about a science career, science industry. So
I will say that STEM is being highlighted a lot more, probably,
that's
than
good.
when you were.
Yeah, that's good.
So there is definitely some, but it's always good. I think it's good for students to see people working and like, oh, he was here once, and this is what he practically does, to kind of talk to someone. And so that's what we're trying to do with this series. Since I can't be with my students, I'm just trying to let them be exposed to some career paths and check them out. So thank you so much.
Yes.
And I can't wait to share this with my students.
Yes, thank you. And anytime you want to come to Memphis, St. Jude's an awesome place. I'd love to show you around. The campus is amazing.
I would love that. Miss Cameron does bring our student council down pretty regularly.
That's what I heard. So I never had Miss Cameron.
In her ear to reach out to you.
Yeah. No, I would love to. I never had her as a teacher, but I would love to, meet her and meet the students whenever they come and show them around.
All right, I will do that. She goes regularly. She takes student council down. So
yeah, awesome. If you do talk to her, let her know.
Okay. Thank you so much.
No problem.